of hotel quarantine. And I'm excited to be joining you today for another Live with Nat. So I hope you had an amazing weekend. We certainly did. It was a fun time, as much as we can create it around Halloween. On Saturday night, the hotel looked after the kiddies and brought them little lollies at the door and all that sort of stuff. So it's been a relaxing weekend, just like any other weekend. And this week, we start the week and actually have to host our 33rd Ultimate 48-Hour Author Retreat from quarantine starting tomorrow. And this is also going to be the very first retreat that's run midweek. For years, for 7 years, we have been running the retreats on weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and this is the very first time we have, with the move to online model of the business, we thought, you know what, let's start running our retreats midweek. That way we don't have to work 15 days in a row when they are on weekends. So, hey Lisa. So this morning, I wanted to talk to you guys about how to build your own signature system. I think a lot of people think you have to be something super special or, invent something, or people who have signature systems may have, they're so clever, right? But that's not true. A signature system is something that any one of us can create. If we have got something to share, something we can help other people with, and maybe with some of the stuff that I cover off today, it'll start giving you some ideas. Good morning, Leslie. Great to see you on the live this morning as well. And I kind of looked and thought about my own journey and experience around creating quite a few signature systems. Hey, Kerry, sunny Dazzy today. It's already boiling hot outside here. Morning, Naomi. I've got the aircon pumping in here, but yeah, it's beautiful. Brisbane is really putting on the weather, as they say in Queensland, beautiful one day, perfect the next, with a few storms in between, those tropical thunderstorms in the afternoons. All right, so I'm going to go through a list of important things to think about, and if there's something that you want to add on, and I certainly will use some of my examples from creating the Lose the Last 10 Kilos signature system, my product generator program, and the Ultimate 48-Hour Author system, and how they came about, and how you two need to look at what this means for you, especially if you want to help other people in the areas that you have overcome something yourself. So think about, first step is think about where have you had success in life or business, okay? So where have you achieved success? And to you, it might not seem like a big deal, but other people see in us what they want for themselves. And I'm sure if some of you have been to my half-day workshop, often I say, there's a question you need to ask yourself in terms of where you should niche, or niching, like it could mean around what will be your signature system. And that is, the question to ask yourself is, what do other people see in me that they want for themselves? And often there is little hints, where people ask us, oh, how do you do that? I don't know how you manage to stay so fit and healthy, or I don't know how you manage to run a multiple 7-figure business with 3 kids and, just go everywhere. Or I don't know how you manage to, how you live beyond the loss of your spouse. How do you have such an amazing mindset after having survived cancer, or whatever it is, yeah? So think about, so how you can start thinking about it. Is there something that you have overcome, a massive obstacle, trauma, or something that you have achieved by just taking certain steps? Maybe to you it's just come about really naturally. So an example of this is, for me, a lot of people started seeking me out after I had created a program with CDs and audios, as well as written my weight loss book. A lot of people started coming to me and saying, how did you create the book? How did you create the system? And I hadn't actually been to a place where they would teach me, like people hire us obviously to help them write their first book with our signature system, but I didn't know actually people like me existed. So I kind of went about pulling all this stuff together and doing trial and error, right? Learning myself. All of a sudden, people were asking me about product development, and it was kind of like a natural talent that I must have just had, right? And then I started unfolding what I would do for myself and asking them lots of questions around what their intellectual property was and starting to organize their information. And all of a sudden I thought, well, there's obviously a certain way that I pull something out of people's heads and then we create a system behind it, right? And what's the order of those steps? And so the product, like my second niche, which was ultimate business edge, create products of profit, came about, right? Sometimes it's really obvious what people want from us, and sometimes it's not. So in early days, it might be really ambiguous. Like when I was kind of attracting all these people who wanted to lose weight, and specifically they were saying to me, I want to lose 10 kilos, and realizing then when I niched in that actually had the story. And often on some gut level, people can see within us what they want for themselves, even if it's not really super obvious as to what we have achieved, right? And for me, it was like they could tell that, I had this journey of losing the last 10 kilos and, wanting to tap into, how did I do that? And so they want to model us. And when creating a signature system, we don't necessarily need to be obviously around medical things, that's a whole other area. But if we're teaching someone how to go from problem to solution around some lifestyle aspects, or how to, obviously I'm teaching people how to write a book in 48 hours and all that kind of stuff, the very first person to have successfully completed or achieved or solved that problem has to be you, right? It has to be you, because that's the first place where it starts from. Of course, you then want it to spread and for you to start collecting social proof that this system then works with other people as well. Okay, so a couple of points here. Think about where you have success in your life and business. Number two, what do other people see in you that they want for themselves? Hey, Tanya, great to have you on the live. Sorry, I'm done scrolling down. Hey, Annette. All right, so what do other people see in you, what they want for themselves? Number three, think about, have you overcome a massive trauma, challenge, or obstacle in life? And now number four. So number four is, okay, so you've figured out what that thing is, and that's where you start. And is it going to be the perfect thing? It may not be, because I went through 3 or 4 signature systems of things that I stood for before I arrived at Ultimate 48-Hour Author, right? And you can pivot and you can tweak and adjust. Obviously, product development wasn't kind of the thing, but Ultimate 48-Hour Author is actually a more specific thing behind the product development, which was before that, right? So you might end up distilling or decluttering it and making it very, very specific as time goes on. And as you figure out what people are liking and what they, what to remove, what to bring in, can you refine it and can you make it a little bit more specific, right? So number 4 is dump down all of the things you have done to get to this point. So what is the 0 to hero story, right? So what is, we were at problem and now you've achieved it and you have got the solution, or you're a representation of having overcome this thing or solved it or created whatever success there was, is right now. So you just do a massive brain dump. What is it that you did? So if we think about the weight loss niche, right? For me, I was thinking about, I learned how to feed myself properly because I really didn't know how to eat properly or what calories meant or anything like that. I worked on my mindset in a massive way. Worked out what triggers there were, worked out limiting stuff, worked on limiting beliefs, obviously movement and exercise and things like that. So kind of just dumping down all of the different things, that have gotten you, did you meditate? Did you go to certain experts? Did you read certain books? What is it that you did? And so you dump them right down, and it could be just boring old, names. It doesn't have to be sexy or marketable as yet. You just need to have put them down so you kind of go, these are the collection of 10 to 15 different things that I did to solve this particular problem. Okay, so the next step is to put them in order. Yeah, so think about, so we talked about 3 or 4 weeks ago about your story and how important it is that your story is actually kind of the background of the signature system. If you think about, if you ever listen to entrepreneurs like, If you listen to Janine Ellis from Boost Juice, or those people who have built amazing companies, you know, and big companies, and you actually hear their original story of where they started from and where that little seed of an idea of them wanting to solve a particular problem for themselves came about, and then developed it into then serving the greater good and the greater community. Yeah, and it says change starts with me. Absolutely, always, right? So first we're going to change ourselves, and then other people want to model the person we have become. Okay, so people buy people. I'm sure a lot of you who are listening right now, some of you are my authors, and you would agree. And let me know in the chat box, or even if you're watching this as a recording, you know, is part of the reason why you wanted to work with us is because you wanted to model this aspect of how we have solved the problem, solution to found a solution how to write a first book much easier and effortlessly with everything organized, right? Is there some aspect of what you have seen about my life that you wanted to bring into your life, right? So people, another way to think about it is people buy what we value, okay? So people buy what we value, okay? So those that match with your values and agree and kind of can see the path forward for themselves will buy into that, and they want to create that. Okay, so we need to be the model. It's almost like other people say, I want to have what you're having. Okay, when that kind of happens, and that has happened to me in my life, it's like, how do you do this and that? You know, then I break it right down. And this is what I do on these Monday morning lives, is a breakdown for you guys. So every single Monday morning live, it's literally a mini signature system of how I do something in my life, or how I think about business, or how I think about life balance, or you know, all of the various topics that I have taught you, they come from how I have deciphered them, broken them down. Because what I'm looking at right now on my phone, right here, is the top 10. You might not be able to see it clearly, but the top 10 steps. So what did I do last night as I was creating the content? I dumped it all down. So what are the things that someone needs to do to create their own signature system? And then I, you know, think about, you know, what success you've had in your life. So starting from the bigger picture, now we're drilling it right down. I dumped them all down, then I put them in order. And I'm just talking through them right now, right? Okay, could I create a whole book around this? Yeah, I could. You know, I would go drill down even deeper and deeper and deeper and get more specific. It's no different. So even what I'm teaching you right now can help you with content creation. Okay, content creation is you just pick one little specific area and drill down on it, the steps and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so next thing is obviously order them. You know, and then once you've ordered them, thank you, Annette. There you go, pillar of strength and inspiration. That's why I chose 48 Hours to coach me through my first book. Yeah. So next thing is you need to sexy them up, right? So step 6 is give it a sexy name, and obviously of the steps, because remember, people buy what they want, to ultimately for us to have the opportunity to give them what they need. Or another way I teach people is sell to the ego, give to the soul. So what do they want? And we've said, like in weight loss, they don't want to learn about diet and exercise and mindset. They want to lose 5 kilos in 3 minutes while eating chocolate, right? And in writing a book, they want to do it fast because they're time poor, right? That's what the ego goes, oh, I don't want to spend months and years writing a book. I want to do it tomorrow because I've got this amazing idea, right? But what they need ultimately is then the steps and the systems and to do all the work. It takes a little bit longer than 48 hours. My 48 hour authors would agree, especially if you want to make the book a success. Yes, you can write it fast and get through it. But the real work, I believe, starts when that book hits their hands, and now all of a sudden they need to get out there and make it a success and make themselves and their business or their message a success, right? Okay? And that's why I'm halfway through writing Shut Up and Sell Your First Book. 48 ways to market your way to success. All right, next one. Number 7 is create some visual models that visually demonstrate it. I have an awesome author of mine, as well as a friend and colleague, Renee Hasseldine, who teaches people all about visual models. And actually I use them in my half-day workshop. If you guys remember, some of you who have been part of it, you know, the pyramid and the 3 keys to book success, and explaining those, and then the value behind the 40 assets. There were various different models that I used, and actually I learned them from her, and she's written a whole book about that. It's called Game Changers, I think. There's so many books, I forget all the titles. I'll pop her name in book in one of the chats. I'll tag her and she can actually put it all in there. But she teaches this amazing way of describing what your signature system is through visual models. Because we more than 65% of people are visual, right? So if you can show people what something looks like and what the order is and how it sort of wraps up together. And she teaches the thing about having 4 key visual models and all that. She has a workshop that runs on this, so I'm not going to go into it because it's her thing, but it's really, really cool way of making it feel tangible. So making the signature system really, really feel tangible around, what it is that you're, wanting to portray to people of how they go from problem to solution. All right, so then number 8 is create a table of value to sell it, right? So do not build anything. So you may build the visual models that are kind of going to help you sell it, yeah? And then you have your table of value of what it is that you're going to give people if they're going to work with you in attaining the solution through your signature system. So if you remember, or some of you might not, because obviously you haven't been to the half-day event, but when I originally came up with Ultimate 48-Hour Author, it was because of, obviously, I had done it myself with another person on over a weekend. And then what I did is dump down and reverse engineer the steps of what we did. And then I asked people to do exactly the same thing. But I did not create any templates, any systems, anything like that. I just literally created what I wanted to include and give people. What with itemized it, did all my costings, and literally started saying that the first retreat was going to be in October 2013. Okay, and all I didn't have back then visual models, so all I had was a table of value, the ones with the ticks of what you get at each different level, and then I had a date. So a date makes it really, really firm, and it shows people certainty that this is going to happen on a certain day, and it gives them kind of like something to count towards. Like tomorrow being our third Ultimate 48-Hour Author retreat, like these guys have been prepping and have been signed up into this over the last either 2 to 6 months, I would say. And they have been leading up into it, and they've been preparing, and they have something to work towards, right? People like to know, if you leave things open-ended, people are not going to be as committed to your thing, yeah? Or to actually going, yep, this is going to happen by this day and all that. So it really also makes you commit, but then it makes other people commit. The date is really, really the key component, second key component to then selling your signature system. And it's not going to be perfect to begin with. So you might, in terms of pricing it, start at a little bit lower, yeah? So pilot price, yeah? And people are going to ask you, have you done this before with other people? And you can be honest. You can actually say, look, this is what I have done for myself, and this is going to be the pilot program if you want to be a part of it. And then you start collecting testimonials and refining and getting feedback and fine-tuning it from there, right? Because it's you're going to do the best you can with what resources you have available to you, right? The rest is, you're going to collect feedback, and you are going to refine and adjust accordingly to that feedback. All right, so step number 9, once someone buys it, get to work, okay? Get to work, right? So it's got a date, 13th of January 21 with her book, and we're working towards that, and you'll smash that, I think. So work, once someone buys it, then you get to work. Now, sometimes people freak out over this one, oh my God, I can't create this massive thing, that I've set up. Sometimes you might be working with people through your signature system one-on-one, okay? And maybe that's how it's gonna start off with. It may not be a one-to-many kind of thing, yeah? So if that's the case, and let's say it's a 12-week program, whatever it is, well, you just gotta work on 1 week at a time and write down and create the content for that 1 week and give it to the person that following week, and the next week you're going to create the content for the following week. And guess what? In 12 weeks time, you're going to have written it all, and because someone has paid you, that is what cures procrastination, right? So the cure to procrastination is when you make a commitment to someone else, right? You've committed to them, they've committed to you by financially investing in this system, and you are then rolling it out. A lot of the time, if it's an online program, guess what? The first group can be a real life live online, which is way better, right? So a lot of the time, people sit through online programs which are recorded, recorded videos, recorded everything, and all that kind of stuff. But guess what? The first couple of times that person ran that online program, most likely was live. Actually, one that I was a part of 3 years ago, I could hear people asking questions and all that sort of stuff. So all of the recorded footage was once upon a time done live. So you don't have to, have everything ready straight up. You can create things as you go along. Especially when we pivoted this business from offline to online, like I had all my offline systems, but I had to literally tweak and adjust and sometimes rewrite some of my systems because they were related to an offline model or delivery to now an online. Now that I'm on to the 5th virtual retreat, I've got it all set. And the systems are there. I've repeated them a few times, and they kind of become really second nature, and we've saved all our templates and things like that, right? So you do it as you go along. Please note, the first time something has to be done, it's going to require the most amount of energy and effort and creation, and it's going to seem overwhelming. But once you've got it once, then you're just tweaking and adjusting and refining and fine-tuning it, and which is where now your signature system will start to become really solid. And you'll build your confidence and your certainty behind it, the way you speak about it, the way you believe in it, right? Sometimes people ask us, will this work for me? Can you guarantee that this is going to work for me, right? And because we've observed over 500 people that have gone through this Ultimate 48 Hour Author program now, we know it works. We know we have massive success stories of people building 6-7-figure businesses and grown super, super strong because of their books and the credibility they got. So our answer to that is always, yeah, we know this system works, and we can guarantee it works. But what we can't guarantee is if you do, okay? So that's the thing. Sometimes people say, oh, but I know it worked for me, but I don't know if it's going to work for other people. That's the person who's creating, I'm talking the signature system. Well, if it worked for you and someone was committed to taking the steps that you took, why wouldn't it work for someone else? If it's been done successfully once before, it can be done again. But what people do when they're going to someone else's signature system and take part in it, they start to make their own rules. They start to deviate from the system. And when people start to deviate from the system, guess what happens? They don't get the result. So what happens, let's go back to the weight loss example, right? You get told, you get given a system. Actually, my detox program is a perfect example of this. So this 23 detox that I've done now 4 times over the last 2 years, love it, but it's so systematic, okay? So systematic and so specific, and some people who don't like rules, they'll hate it. They will hate it. But you know what? It works. It's got a checklist of things. It's got a certain amount of stuff that you could eat, certain supplements, certain recommendations. It's very regimented, yeah? If you follow it, you will get the amazing benefits of extra energy, up to 7 kilos weight loss, it's just like all of these other things that, line up with it, right? And I know it works because I followed every single thing to the T. Yet when I've heard, because I've been part of groups that have been doing it at the same time, and I hear, oh, someone fell off the wagon, they had a day off and then they're 3 days behind with all of that. And then all of a sudden, it starts not to work, right? And they go, oh, but this is too hard and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, going through a signature system is hard, yeah? It requires you getting out of your comfort zone because what you're about now learning to achieve is not natural to you. It's not natural to you, therefore you have to stretch and do something that's going to challenge up here. It's going to challenge your mindset, and that's how you got to think about your own clients who might be taking part and coming on board or challenging you with the fact, will this work for me? Because then business owners can start to feel really disheartened, that they feel like a fraud, that maybe my thing is not that good. Maybe my thing just worked for me and it's not going to work for someone else. Well, that's not true. It is going to work, but the thing is, you can't make people follow the rules or the system steps unless they have that commitment and the mindset behind it. So please do not feel bad about yourself, because I think sometimes, especially coaches, people in this space of coaching, they think if their client's not getting results, it's all their own fault. It's not. Everyone has to take their own responsibility. If we're there to serve and help and give a lending hand and work through of course, no journey is perfect. That's all that you can possibly do, right? People want the results you have, well, they're going to do what you have done, right? So if they don't do what you have done, they're not going to have the results. That's what modeling is, yeah? They're going to get some different results. Whether they're good or bad, we don't know, but it's going to be something different. But I think if you do model, nothing perfect, but 90% plus, 80, let's go with 80, you are going to get results very similar to the person that you admire that's helping with that problem. Okay, number 10 is rework, refine, and continue developing it over time, okay? Because you're going to learn so much from it. First time I wrote the 48-Hour Author book, and then the second time I rewrote it from scratch, they're chalk and cheese. They're so different, because the first one was written after having run the system for one retreat, and the second time it was written after I had run 26 of them. And remember, we're doing only 4 a year, so to have run 26 of them, learn so much from each person, each time it's run, just gaining feedback, seeing what felt good, what didn't feel good, how can we do it faster, better, more streamlined, how can we give them more resources, more support, all that kind of stuff. That's the thing that then obviously builds it, and all the social proof and all of the results that you can then see and you can demonstrate, then you start to obviously increase your prices. And of course, because you realize the effort and the amount of intellectual property and infrastructure that you have built around that system grows. We have so much behind the scenes of our system, which is, yes, we have our retreat, but our retreat then gets supported by masterclasses, monthly follow-up calls, Monday morning weekly Q&As. Like, there's just so much filmed footage and recordings. There's just a wealth of information people can get almost lost in, because there's just so much that we give at the end of the day. But how has that come about? Through refining, reworking, and tweaking up everything, and listening, collecting feedback, and implementing the things that we think, yeah, that is true, let's change this up, or let's communicate this differently, or let's say it differently. Even now, as I'm going to go into the 33rd retreat in the next 3 days, I'm going to be doing things slightly differently from the previous 4 virtual ones. Like, I've adjusted my PowerPoint presentation. I've just kind of tweaked things, not massive changes, because after a little while, it's only just those tiny little 1%ers. Tiny little thing, oh, I'm just going to say this slightly differently. I'm just going to do this at a different time, or this is how I'm going to approach this particular, group and all that kind of stuff. So that's it. So let's summarize, okay? Because you might have jumped on the call in the last couple of minutes and you missed all of the 10 steps. So I'm just going to do. So the topic we've been covering off, and if you haven't gone through the whole live, I suggest that you do, because there's a lot of detail behind it. And again, if you want to get this done properly and successfully, you've got to follow the steps, right? At least 80% of the steps, otherwise you're going to get a different result. So how to build your own signature system. Step 1 was think about where you have success in life or business. Step 2 is ask yourself this question, what do other people see in me that they want for themselves? Number 3, have you overcome a massive trauma, challenge, or obstacle in life behind which you can then, number 4, dump down all the things you have done to get to this point. What is the 0 to hero story, and how did it come about? What were the steps? What were the 10 to 15 steps? Number 5, no order necessary first, then think about it more in order a little bit later, once you've dumped down the 10 to 15 things. Number 6 is give it a sexy name and steps, right? Sexy names, magnetic, sell to the ego, give to the soul, remember? Number 7, create some models that visually demonstrate it, so visual models. Number 8 is create a table of value of what you're going to provide to someone who buys into the system. Do not build it. First you sell it, and then you build it. Okay, number 8 is then, number 9 is once someone buys it, get to work. And remember, it can be one step at a time, one video at a time, one module at a time, right? And number 10 is rework, refine, and continue developing it over time, okay? So I hope this has been of value to you, and that you're gonna build and start building not just one. Once you know how to do it, you're gonna build them. And remember, all of this is also relevant if you wanna do content just as like this. This was a perfect example of today, me teaching you a signature system while I'm delivering one in terms of how to do one, right? All right, have an amazing Monday, and I'm off to my Ultimate 48 Author Mastermind group. For those authors that are listening right now, they always get lost where I go next after this. It's in our secret group that we're gonna do our weekly live Q&A. Talk to you guys soon, and see you next Monday from freedom, because next Monday we have moved into our new home on the Gold Coast, which settles this Friday. And I'll be coming, I don't know what the state the house will be, but you'll probably have my banners, and you won't know any other way if it's a complete mess. And like always, smash it out.